This is called Why I Support Police. All right, and I'll start with this one. The first reason is because the people who hate police wouldn't even let me explain this, what I'm about to explain, before they try to threaten me or harm me or actually do it because I didn't escape quick enough or fight back quick enough, didn't have enough fight power back. They're like, those are the ones mainly that hate the police, right? But the reason I support police, reasons, is because, and I didn't come up with a philosophical main reason, but I may mention one later. But the obvious stuff, because I want to have police that help at car accidents. And help determine who was at fault, right? But mainly for the sake of injury and I want them to be out there patrolling traffic like they do, even though that's the most, sometimes it's annoying for anybody that drives, but it's necessary. But I want them to be there because they can get there quicker than an ambulance or a fire truck because they're out patrolling somewhere. So they're usually closer by, right? That's one thing. Another thing is I want them to come help when somebody robs a store or robs a person. I want them to come help out with that or be the start of figuring out who did it or whatever, if it's possible to figure out who did it, right? And I want them to be a deterrence. I want people to think twice about robbing somebody because they're scared they might get caught and get caught by police or might run into police in a store or at a store because police shop too. Police patrol stores a lot of times too, parking lots. Sometimes they sit in the parking lot and patrol the speeders going by. So I want police to make thieves think twice by just seeing them about robbing them somewhere. And then they'd say, well, okay, I'm not taking a chance and get in trouble going to jail. I think, of course, they need to believe God because they need to worry more about going to hell. But they're not going to learn anything about hell. They're not going to be warned about hell if we don't have an orderly society and you're just hating on police for all kinds of reasons. I want the thieves to be protected by police from other thieves, right? I want the murderers to be protected by the thought of police catching them from other murderers, right? And so you have a chance to choose heaven instead of hell because we're expected to be somewhat reasonable in society. So without police, we don't have, you got church, you got teachers, you got everything else, but you don't have anybody much besides police or besides you're losing a job or whatever other stuff, family or whatever. Family usually, that tells you there's a consequence that shows, look, you got to pay for the consequence. You hurt this person, you need to pay him back. You stole from this person, you need to pay him back. We don't have people doing that, and it's hard to do that because actually the people who hate the police aren't allowing that to happen, right? So where I do support the police, I do support the police still, but I say respect the police. But I hope will be 15 minutes. Really, I'm going to narrow it down because I'm not going to add a different subject to this video, and I'm using one that downloads slow, so I can't do it long. But it's a short subject. I hope I get better at 15-minute subjects here. Sorry to mention that, but I think we should have a separate police force for drug issues. And because I think where I do support the police and I want the police, I want better police. So I want us to support having police and better police and then quit lying about police, quit causing trouble with police, quit disrespecting police. I'll say we do need laws against harassing police. You should not be able to get in police's face and take pictures and record them if they can't record you, and then say they can't record you. If you can record them, they should be able to record you, and that you should be recorded anyway with the camera on the car or something. Have somebody. It should be legal for them to record it. It'd be hard for them to do it, but they should be able to record a situation when it's going to be a dangerous one, possible when they suspect it to be dangerous, or as soon as somebody lashes out at them and disrespects them, they should be able to start recording. So there should be some laws for that. If by the way, and if you so like that's a separate issue, really. If the people who harass them and get in their faces and all that kind of stuff and can yell and curse at them and everything, there should be a law against that at protests and things, and they should be able to take you straight to jail. They should be able to lock up looters and take them to jail, and the looters should pay back a certain amount to all the stores they messed up before they can get out of jail. They shouldn't be able to pay bail. They've trashed a store, and you can't say which one did it the most and all that. But for the ones that get caught, they should pay back some kind of fee that goes towards the store, whether it's management or who, I don't know. But the system's wrong and all that stuff. And so on the other hand, we keep people too long. So that's not the police's fault, though. You got to quit hating the police, and you got to talk about the judiciary system, and not by fighting. You got to let people like me speak, because I have ideas. It's hard to remember them all at once, but I have all kinds of written ideas on how to fix the prison system to make it more neighborly. It should be neighborly. And so it's hard for people. A lot of people will say, no, it shouldn't be. No, it should be neighborly. You should follow the Bible's laws of love your neighbor and forgiveness and all that stuff. The same way you're supposed to do it out here, to do it in there. The difference is you're detained for the safety of the public. That's the main reason. It's not because I can say I'm better than you and I would never do something that you would do. But there are people in there who are always hateful, violent bullies. There's a lot of that in jail, and those are the bright people to have in jail. So, but even them, they should be given a chance, but they should not be causing problems in jail. So you got police in jail too, by the way. You got the police, the jails, and they should be educated about this stuff. Instead of hating on them, trying to get the murderers, the bullies in prison, the bullies who were in there that were bullies outside and now they're bullies inside, instead of letting them run the Democrat Party, let them run the speech out here and say, hate police, hate police, hate police. There's some real issues with some police now, and we don't even get to talk about those. And I don't know, I'm just saying theoretically even there's some good issues we need to talk about that could be a problem with police. Now, they have a hard job. They have to make a decision, an authoritative decision right away without going to the preacher. They have to decide right then, right? And which preacher is going to be right. But, police are dealing with, they see real life stuff, so they're good at it. Actually, I've seen a lot of police who are good at assessing. They're better psychologists than most of the people in the psychological field I've seen. I mean, it's quick wit psychology, But so, I mean, it's true. It's true. They're better psychologists, most of them, than all the people who hate them. Those are the people who hate the police. They don't like anybody. They don't like anybody. They support the Democrat Party of slavery. They support the cartel slavery. They support the crooks robbing people, mugging people. Those are the ones who are hating police. All right. So, but on the other hand, I think we should have a separate police force for the drug laws. I think we need to legalize natural plant medicines and put them in scientists' hands, licensed scientists' hands, and that's the big problem out there. So we're like a third world. We're like a 17th century or something on that issue. We don't know what we're doing because we've had people demonize those medicines. So as far as how you legalize it for allowing people to use it, let's just say you did. It wouldn't be as bad as the unregulated stuff where you're having poison. Once you legalize letting the scientists make safer medicines out of the plants and trying to figure out where to put the plants, maybe have a legal venue with plant access, and then you have laws about that, and it's for adults only, and then you can crack down on addicts at that point. It makes sense. I'm speaking outside the box here because I've had issues with addiction somewhat. I'm what you would call a binge smoker. I never had an addiction, but I could go out one day and get poisoned basically. And want to rush, and I could lose everything I have in one day, not to myself, but to the people they surround you with out there. And so that's the problem with the system now. They rob people of everything they have in one day. But that wouldn't happen people people like me, I'm not qualified in using. I want to stay clean from all that. I'm not even doing caffeine right now. Right. I did do some this week for the first time in 3 weeks, some caffeine, but not much. I didn't. So not much at all. But it's the reason you legalize is not for relapsers. It's to get the killers and the thieves, start going after killers and thieves and assaulters and bullies and slave drivers and extortionists. And first of all, you don't even have to go after them. You change the language and people learn, and they can agree. Yeah, that isn't good. I'm not supposed. That is a real crime, hurting my neighbor. But they're confused about it now because the medicine laws are all mixed up. And so you got killers who are poisoning drugs and stuff. You got killers. You got thieves who put stuff in drugs to black people out. And so people don't even. They might not be asleep, blacked out. Sometimes they are. They're sound asleep, getting robbed. Or sexually assaulted while they're blacked out when they don't know what they're doing, even if they are aware. People know if somebody sexually assaults somebody that's out of the head and they didn't agree to it ahead of time, that's a sexual assault. It's kind of a date rape kind of thing. And they may have their facilities and be moving around doing this, but don't know what they're doing, but they're awake. And they'll say, well, they're awake. Now that's sexual assault, if they do that. And so that stuff goes on, but the people are blacked out. The thief, we'll call it a thief. Basically, rape is stealing from somebody. Bottom line, people don't look at it that way, but it's stealing. And so, and if it's to somebody who's never had a sexual encounter before and they were still virgin and all that, and they believe in that for their reputation, that hurts them. They feel like they've lost their resume. That's where it hurts them the most. So it's overplayed in some ways, as far as trying to take revenge and kill somebody if somebody did it, moved faster than kissed and you weren't ready for a kiss, those kind of things. I don't think you kill somebody for it, but that's the way the people who hate police believe in killing them. The police would put them in jail, have them taken to court. The Democrat side of court overcharges on some of those things, not all of them now, but I'm saying they overcharge on some things because for population control, or because they just want to teach anybody who has a sex drive is a devil and a demon and all that kind of stuff. So some things are overplayed. Like, for instance, when somebody compliments somebody on the job for being pretty or this or that, that can be, if somebody's asked them not to do it before, or especially twice, and they still do it, that's an issue. But if it's the first time they ever did it and they're just trying to see if she or he, usually a she, is it going to be interested in dating or something, and then they call that sexual harassment? I don't think so. Maybe if it's a boss and he's married, that's a different case. But anyhow, so those are touchy issues that come with the courts, the laws, and some of that's political. See, those sexual things, those are political. Sometimes people make issues that aren't as big an issue as they could be because they just like to kill people. And they like an excuse to kill people. And if somebody had sexual misconduct that wasn't severe, but it was sexual misconduct or whatever, then it is misconduct. I'm not saying that. Any public sexual stuff is misconduct, right? But did they hurt anybody? That's the question. That's the thing. Did they steal from somebody? Did they hurt somebody? If they stole from somebody, that's not something you can pay back. It's not like money, especially if it was virgin. And that's for men too. I'm talking about women stealing from men, right? So there's ways to assess these things, but you have to think of it like I was just thinking of it. You should analyze like that, and judges should analyze like that, and reconsider the charges they put on people, because there's some people that are well behaved, and it's a very rare time that they made it sinned like that, or maybe. Sometimes people do that without realizing, maybe they were even misled into thinking a person they were purposely misled into thinking a person was interested. But stuff that happens too. So you have to assess those things. But obviously, if somebody violently enforces themselves on somebody, that's a whole different thing. But should you even kill them then, if they didn't harm them in any way? I mean, so that's something you should assess. I'm saying some people are going to look at me and say, How dare you say that? We should kill them. They're going to kill them and kill me for just even, But lawyers do that. Lawyers do what I'm doing. The one that sides with the offender defends him and has to say, well, are we over punishing, or he's innocent? They'll try to claim they're innocent, or they're mentally incapacitated, or whatever they do. I don't know, but they do. That's probably a hard case to side with somebody on, because the violence promoted for those things, there's violence promoted by mobs and gangs and everybody else for those kind of things. And but those are the same people that hate the police, and they want to take the law in their own hands and kill people for stuff that's not death penalty worthy, right? That's my point. So those are the hard ones, though. But stealing is not death penalty worthy either. But if you did it with a weapon, then it is. But let's go to the last point that I was on that I didn't finish. Those are all I'm just showing you the police aren't responsible for all that. They just, you do something wrong and they catch you and you're catchable, then they're the ones that transport you to justice, and so the justice system's supposed to assess those things properly, but it doesn't do it because, like in a lot of cases, they never show who really did the attack first. They mess up self-defense stuff when they ignore self-defense when it comes to somebody attacking police, and they do that for politics. That's politics, and that is not proper. So they'll call people racist for saying the truth. Well, he hit him first. You're a racist. But it's what happened. You're supposed to assess what happened on both sides, not just one side, all right? So, and then you come up with the proper verdict and study that verdict. Biblically, study the verdict, all right? So, according to the New Testament. And with the Old Testament, you don't throw it out. You leave death penalty on the table, then you have mercy on it, right? The death penalty as an option, but you have mercy on it if they kill somebody. So, so here's that last point that I was want to finish is I think there should be the people's police. I don't know if that's what you should call it, but the regular police that we have, just with a few less duties as far as the drugs task goes, I think they should have a whole separate force for the drug test. And there's a reason I do say that, because I want the other police, they're already focused on, they already have to deal with car wrecks and other things like that. But everybody needs to know they're focused on protecting you physically and your property from theft. And I could throw a couple other things in there that fall under that, but mostly it's that. It's protecting you from violence. And their uniform should remind people they're there to protect from violence. And, so they're still going to have to approach hard people, the thieves and the violent thieves particularly. And then the violent thief might fight him, and then the Democrats are going to support the violent thief because the police defended themselves. I mean, that's what's going on. The Democrat is a liar and thief. The whole freaking party is. Apparently, because how can you not see that stuff? I mean, it's obvious. How can you not see that stuff? You can see it. You've seen it on TV in the videos. Hands up, don't shoot. The man just robbed a store. He jumped on a police officer in the driver's seat, reached for his gun, has his fingerprints on the police officer's gun. Then they said, hands up, don't shoot. He ended up getting shot in that situation. And that still stands today. That's what happened. I mean, that's just what happened. And so the people who hate the police, they want to kill me for exposing that. Some of them do, right? Some of them, they'll realize if they heard me say it, they'd say, I don't know if that's true. You got it wrong. Nah, I don't know. I have to check that. And they probably can't find the facts today on that, but maybe can. And some of them, it would wake up. That's why I need to say it, because that's what happened. That's what's happening. And what they're doing, the Democrats, the higher up political that are supporting these lies, they're allowing the crooks to take over black neighborhoods. They're letting them abuse. There's more people dying in the ghettos than I've ever seen now, getting killed. There's more bullying and killing than I've ever seen in the ghettos under the new, more extreme Democrat Party. They've always been bad and extreme, right? But now they're worse, and that's where people are dying the most. They're letting all the police haters run the ghettos, and those police haters are the cartels who poison the drugs. So there's black people dying from being poisoned. They're dying from more gunshot. The ones that are most greedy over money are bullying and killing people over money. The ones that believe in being a bully and say you can't speak, you can't support the Republican candidate because we can't steal from you anymore. If they can, But that's who the police haters are. All right. So because we still have police that, they do help against crime. I think most of the police still help against stealing and they help against violence. But the Democrats are trying to put bad police in there. They're trying to chase out the good police and put bad ones in. That's what that goal was. But we've had a lot of people that want a better, safer society, and they became police. They want you to have a better life. But they have to also get the bad rap for it. I mean, most of the good police that do that, most people that are going to be police, they don't take a risk. They don't risk their lives. It's hard to get bad police in there a lot of times because they know they're not going to take a risk for their life just to appease the Democrats and be a bad police and maybe get shot by their own people, by their own Democrat Party people who hate police, So we still have a lot of good police. Most of them, I think. From what I've seen, most of them are good police, except in some huge big inner cities. I've seen a few that I didn't think were, but the confusion is the reason police do have a confusion and hesitation is because they've seen it. The drug cartel knows it. The people in the streets know it. They know that that they have some good medicines, but they're mixed with bad stuff. There's paranoia because of the laws. There's paranoia that brings the violence and the people who do it, but the stuff grows in the ground. I mean, so that's big. It's a big trick. So we need drug police, but they need to legalize and put the plants, natural medicinal plants, allow licensed scientists, and you got bad scientists, the bad scientists that do the cartel stuff and help make formulas that black people out and stuff. Well, and that helps the crook dealers, right? That's the purpose. That's a bad scientist. So but when you have legalize it, you have the proper way. And it is proper. It's been a big trick. All of America's fallen for it. You legalize stuff the proper way, and then they hesitate to do it because, well, there's a risk. It's not as bad as the risk. It's not as bad as what's going on when you put it in the hands of killers. All right, you got it in the hands of killers and thieves. Sure, there's always going to be people that play games with the drugs and all that, but it's nowhere near the risk. And you always got to warn of the risk of drugs. You got to keep it. You got to tell people to stay off. You always teach abstinence and all that. But then once you do all that and get it right, and understand there's still going to be risks and problems, but it's not going to be near what it is because you can actually go after thieves now. You can actually go after the ones that poison it now and stop them. They're not even actually going to be as many of them because they can't force people into that because there's going to be a crackdown. It qualifies a crackdown, but with a separate force who can focus on that. So because there's still going to be a confusion situation where people say, well, I couldn't get my drugs from the doctor. I couldn't get my drugs from the store, this or that. And so you still got some who are going to try to steal the new medicines that are supposed to be safe and all that and steal them and sell them in the street or somehow get them wrongly. They're still going to do that stuff, but at least when they sell them in the street, it's safer than the ones they have now. What's wrong with that? All right. But you put the responsibility more on the addicts at that point. At that point, it makes sense. And people have it figured out. Look, we got our options. And then you crack down on addicts. I mean, it doesn't sound too popular, does it? And I wouldn't want to, you know what? And if I ever had a relapse or something, I'm going to be mad at myself for saying it. Maybe. But the fact is you crack down on the addicts but you don't take their house, put them out of business, tell them to lose their job. You have better rehabs with no coffee, no tea, no cigarettes, and you put them and you have a better rehabs. Have rehabs that let them keep their job, except in some cases, extreme cases, right? So where they lost their job on their own. I mean, but because of that, but you have maybe a daily rehab in the evening, daily. If it's severe, somebody you have to keep track of for real, they're in the danger zone, still having trouble, you make them go every day. Maybe on the weekends, but for some, maybe just on the weekend to a class, a couple of classes or whatever. And so that's similar to how it is now, but you upgrade it. So you can that's a real rehab, not having coffee and stuff. But for addiction. That's a real rehab for a real addiction battle to beat addiction. But you can also have rehabs that say that we're just trying to stay off of this particular drug, and you can have the coffee and stuff, right? But at least you're being honest at that point. You're dealing with addiction. You're not dealing with addiction, but you're dealing with how to stay off stuff that hurts, that either I have a problem with that I can't handle proper, or that can get you in trouble because it's not legal, right? So that's the point. So the people that know they're dealing illegal stuff, they know they don't care that you're in threat of going to jail and stuff. They don't, they protect themselves, but they'll put you in jail in a heartbeat. Just so the system would be fixed. But the point here is that you would have a separate police force for that, because it's just a tricky thing. And I don't think that we want our police to be distracted any longer by that stuff. That doesn't mean they can't do anything if they see stuff or whatever, but it means they're focused on protecting our property, having a police presence, having more of them. It's safer for them too, because the cartels are the ones that want to hate these police that are protecting us, protecting all of us. And so I think the drug cartel should be a separate force, separate uniform, so it's a whole different police. I don't believe much in undercover. I guess it's hard to qualify not having undercover in extreme cases of kidnapping and stuff, but I like honest, straightforward approach. And so we're sending a message that we're looking out for this. We expect you to be clean here and loving your neighbors. Then that's the case. And so they're there mainly. They would end up being not having as many people to put in jail or anything, because we got the message and we know we're wrong for doing this. First of all, I'm teaching you, you're wrong for hating the police. And the police are wrong for hating you if they hate you. But to be honest, you may be harder to like than most of the police are, because if you're one of those violent people who hates everybody and all this kind of stuff, and you're telling people to shut up and not speak, you're not trying to talk and get along. You're not trying to have any kind of rational, reasonable discussion and get along at all. And you should at least have one rational and reasonable enough to let a person know and you to know, so y'all agree to part ways and we can't get along trying to talk. So you stay out of each other's way. I mean, so you're harder to get along with than the police are. You're a total jerk, right? And so, and there's a lot of people like that, right? And guess what? That's what it's going to be like in hell. But you need to learn that. But you have a choice not to go there. You have an easier choice not to go to hell than you do not to go to jail if you've done stuff that they still can get you on. But but at least jail's not forever. Hell is forever, right? So if you don't want to believe it, that's fine. But you can't stop you shouldn't be able to stop other people from having a rational conversation about it, right? So we got evidence that we all die. We got evidence that one person rose from the dead. Christ, right? So that matters, and our police should support that, because it's the only evidence of religion. They should work for the Ten Commandments. It's what God gave us for governing. Even if you don't believe in God and that it was a fairy tale, somebody came up with those 10 Commandments, which is God, but you can assume somebody came up with them, and there's never been any better laws for getting along with people, for having a peaceful society. There isn't a better set of laws than the 10 Commandments, and it doesn't say anything about medicine. That's medicine. We need to crack down on individuals, expect them to be more responsible, quit suing doctors, quit suing psychiatrists and all that. It's your responsibility to take your medicine properly. If you're going to sue anybody, sue the scientists on that, not the doctors, because we need to start expecting them to make safer medicines, including the ordinary street drugs that are out there that come from natural plant medicines and all that. And so we have stuff that's not mixed that doctors can use, like the coca leaf. It's probably the best antidepressant there is. It has the properties to make a medicine with that, where you're pulling out the antidepressant features. And if they're going to keep lying about the Earth being tens of millions of years old and stuff, they'll realize they're smart enough. You'll realize that scientists, even though that they're not smart enough to do that because it wasn't even here, it's just a lie. The Earth wasn't here, but they can be smart enough to make safer medicines and make less addictive Lortabs and take some of the addictive properties out, make weaker pills. And same with Vicodin and those kind of things. They need to make those better. They need to make cigarettes safer. They need to have better alternatives, even than the nicotine. By the way, like stuff, you need to know that the nicotine is stronger in the gum and the pills than it is in the cigarettes. So they should lower the nicotine level in the nicotine pills and stuff, because you get the whole 2 milligrams of nicotine in those, and you could have a stroke from nicotine, just like with caffeine. And so they got to be honest about caffeine and quit lying about that. That's a problem too. So that's a drug. I mean, so you can die really fast from caffeine, having too much caffeine, heart attack, stroke, and the nicotine. So I support police. I support telling the truth and getting to these subjects here, right? So you can have a better life. So they can drop stupid felonies. Legalize it proper. Drop the felonies, except for the people who were caught poisoning something. And then people who were assaulting people and hurting people, you don't drop that necessarily. Of course, you may change the system still and drop felony after a time, maybe be able to work it off. But there's a lot to fix in that system. So, but as far as, you still have to assess the fact that people took a risk and sold this stuff, and you don't know what they did that they didn't get caught doing as far as hurting people. But there's a lot of people that they're not in that. They didn't get into it to hurt people. They got in it because it's just all over the place. It's everywhere. And it's, but if they fix the system first and let scientists do right and it'll take a while before they produce products, and they'll try to hold that up to help the cartel. The Democrats will hold it up. They'll say, "Oh, they poisoned a batch," and then they let you kill 70,000 people in the street with all kinds of poison. But that's not a big deal. They let more of that come in. They bring more of it in from countries that hate us and want our people dead, right? So that's what's going on. But so it's not the police. The police are trying to, in most part, I can guarantee you, the police are there to protect your property. And when you yell at the police too, they think you're one of those bullies that's been hurting the whole neighborhood. Use your head. First of all, you should respect them. You should be reasonable. You shouldn't give them a reason to not trust you. You shouldn't yell at them and make them think you're going to hurt them. And you shouldn't be planning to hurt them. You should handle stuff. Do whatever you got to do. If you're going to either get arrested or talk them, be calm enough to where they don't want to arrest you. And then, don't feel they need to, right? Don't feel they need to, or like you're not going to pull a trick on them or anything, and show your IDs and all that stuff. If you don't have an ID or whatever, and you have to go to the station, do it. Go to the station and handle your business. They may give you a slap on the hand. Okay, you can't handle a slap on the hand. They may give you a small fee or a warning at the station, say you got to stay overnight, and they may tell you where to go get your ID. And you got to follow the process this time. Get your ID. Situation resolved. Right. Look, come on. It's a headache standing in line and they're just doing paperwork like anywhere else. Once you get to a police station, it's like, but you got to go through the process. Handle your business. Be responsible. Follow the response. Quit just hating on people so much you don't see there's a little process here. It won't take that long. Right. All right. Anyway, but I support the police, and I support understanding the police. I support understanding for even the cartel people, because the laws are so bad. I do not support the violence. I don't support the assaults. I don't support threatening people for who they choose in politics. I don't support the Democrats always threaten Trump supporters, and Republicans, they threaten people who support the police, and they're wrong for that. They're the type of people who need to be in jail a lot of times if they're going to hurt you. Yeah, that's right. That's a fact. That's for the safety of society. We have a right to feel safe in society and to be protected. Our lives we have a right to be protected and to be free to think, right? All right, this video is about to run out. I had 2 more points, but this will not download if I keep going, unfortunately. I'll be doing part 2 sometime. I might have to turn it into a series.